left. I don't have a lot of hope it's going down. It's probably going to hang around here.
That's a good partial. Look at that, Peter. I had a daily level marked on that from some time ago.
Oh, did you? I didn't. Oh, actually, no. I do have one at 2101 as well. Now that I see it, I was over top of my cursor, so I was just doing the whole dollar.
Yeah, look at that. Good afternoon, everybody. We're live on YouTube now, so welcome everybody that's joining us. This afternoon, we got Dr. Katz, our in-house trading psychologist, who will be here joining us going into the close today. So if anybody in the chat or anybody out
Twitter
there on
says
YouTube
other
has
than
any
accounts
good
that are
questions,
still locked, people
please
should be
feel
able to
free
reset their
to
passwords
post
now.
them in there, and
TWTR.
we'll get to answering those questions. We'll also cover the member trade of the day and earnings, as we have big Netflix coming up today. So, and then again, for everybody in the chat, I am turning off Benzinga, so I will be talking over him, as well as I am sure Peter will be glad to be talking over him finally. So.
That's always the greatest joy of my day.
Just checking the sound on YouTube, since we've had some issues with those lately. Gotta do that. So, how are you enjoying your vacation, Dr. Katz?
It's very nice. It's always great to be here. I get to go out of Texas in the summer. We have a house here, so it's always very good to get away. Work feels different at the 70 degrees as opposed to the 105 degrees. So I'm very happy.
For a Canadian, it feels unnatural for you to leave the hot place to go to a cooler place for your summer vacation. That just seems wrong. Those compute.
So here's a good question from Sam as I'm going through them. So I'm assuming, Sam, if I get your pronoun wrong, feel free to correct me. Universal name right there. But he has been trading in Sim for 5 months, and he's been trying different strategies. And his question is, should he drop trying to trade different strategies and just focus on one strategy at a time?
Well, I think the answer to that might be, my hunch is you're asking that question because there's a pretty significant differential between the multiple strategies you're trading. My hunch would be if you're trading all of them well, probably you would feel comfortable. Let's just say you're trading 4. You would probably feel okay continuing along that route. But if there's a great disparity between, say, trading 2 versus trading the other 2, then that might raise that question. I think when you're first starting out, incrementally starting small and building, so feeling confident and competent in individual strategies, and then slowly building upon that. Now, let me say it's not an exact binary process, meaning that you can be trading in Sim certain strategies, and also maybe during non-trading hours working on reading, educating yourself, developing the other strategies, which is still part of the trading process. It's just not an active trading execution at that point. So again, I would see how it goes. I think early on building comfort, confidence, and competence is very important. So I would start small, and as you feel like you've got some success and some consistency, then you may want to build. But by all means, in your off trading hours, I would continue to read and look and gain some knowledge on other strategies as well.
Yeah, excellent point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I could add to that too. I think if you obviously you're in Sim, so you're a new trader, your playbook shouldn't have 7 or 8 strategies. It should have. I'm just going to grab a number here, but I'm thinking 4 at the most. You should be focusing on maybe 2 strategies for the open if you're comfortable trading the open, and then 2 strategies maybe once we get well into the trading day, like Peter's done these mountaintop trade or mountain pass trades, and lightning bolt trades. So those are, so that, I mean, if you try to have 8 or 9 trades in your playbook and you're just learning, it's you're just going to get bogged down. I think that's my opinion anyway. I think try to keep it simple, but just focusing on one is really going to leave you limited in terms of what your the opportunities that are going to present themselves during the day. But as Dr. Katz said, you should be starting out slow and building your confidence and taking on new strategies as you feel confident with the ones that you've been working on.
Excellent point, Brian.
Hey,
I'm gonna.
hey, Mike.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in because I want to hit on that, Sam. If you notice, next week on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about developing that strategy that you're not confident in yet, and how you can test that strategy out so that it gives you the confidence that Brian and Dr. Katz are talking about. So when you make that transition to a live account, you can actually trade a strategy that you have proven to yourself, right? That's what I mean by proven to yourself that it works, so that you have the confidence when you're trading it live. Dr. Katz?
Yeah, I saw that maybe you, I don't know if you want to read it. I see Gonzalo at 27 after the hour had a kind of a good question. So
Yeah, I'll read that one. He was next on my list.
okay.
Seems obvious, but can you elaborate on how important it is to get trading to be a part of your life and not your life? So a part of your life, but not your life.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I know Gonzalo also asked about relationships, about trading, outside of trading. This is kind of just more my overall holistic view of kind of overall mental and personal health. In that is, I think balance is a huge thing. We, Mike and I have talked about balance in trading. But I think overall, having a well-balanced life, if one can, in terms of not only work, but family relationships, interpersonal relationships, significant relationship, friends, hobbies, activities. I think the greater balance, it just brings more fulfillment to one's life. But here's a key thing, especially as you start out for those new traders, or trading itself is a difficult endeavor. And one of the things that is enormously helpful going through life is that, let's just take the two most significant things that usually are part of people's lives, that work and their relationships. So if work becomes problematic, stressful, or difficult, it's very good to have a foundation of a good relationship. That could be among friends or family or significant other. And that really helps to keep kind of again, a balance. When one thing is not going well, sometimes it's really good for the other to go well. And conversely, there are people who are very successful, in their work life, and when things are problematic in maybe their marriage or their family life, that actually the work success can help buffer some of the stressors associated with the personal stuff. So the more mix you have in your life, the less it's the all eggs, have all your eggs in one basket theory. And it just helps to diversify your life. And I think it just then makes you less reliant on one area of your life for some joy and happiness. So I'm a big proponent of trying to develop all of those aspects as you move forward. And I do think that will be helpful with your trading in terms of managing the emotional volatility associated with the ups and the downs of the trading process, especially before you've mastered trading and feel like competent and capable.
If I could add a corollary to that, or maybe question you, Dr. Katz, on that, I would assume that, because it's my personal philosophy that on any given day, you may not have that balance, but you really need to look at it overall. Like when you're learning a new skill, sometimes you need to focus on that skill significantly for a period of time, such as to achieve it. Otherwise, you'll never be satisfied with your growth in that area. You can't do it to the exclusion of all else, but sometimes you do it. You overemphasize it. Like I said, you spend more time than you normally would. Now, eventually, you need to get back to a more balanced state. But because I always worry that sometimes people hear that and say, "Oh, well, then therefore I can't focus on trading for more than an hour a day or whatever fits in my life." may not be what you need to do in the short term, but in the long term, everything you said is absolutely correct.
No, I totally agree. That's a good, nuanced kind of take on it because, yeah, there are demands that we all have in our lives that sometimes, especially when people have deadlines in their jobs or they're just certain aspects of when you're learning things. Yeah, that the balance, you might have to give more time. And that's the advantage of just say you have to put a lot of extra time in your work. If you have a healthy relationship at home, hopefully your partner is understanding of that because the work is important. Just like conversely, when things may lighten up, you may tend to spend more time, with family or significant others. So I think you're right. This is not about a 50-50 or 52-48 split on a day-to-day basis. There are many times when that, it can be 80-20 or 90-10 because of the demands that are placed on you. And I think you want to have enough flexibility and nimbleness in your own life to be able to kind of put the time and energy where it's needed, knowing that you, on a more big picture macro level, you would like to gain some overall balance, as Peter said.
Yes, excellent point. Jim has a question. So he's trying to understand why he feels so down on himself after having not a great week, even though when looking back, he's had a solid 3-4 months. What are some of the things that he can tell himself to stop getting him down?
Well, first of all, let me just say, being bummed out. I mean, I think that, again, as I've talked with Peter and Mike about in the past, one of the hallmarks of high performers is that the losses are more painful than the wins are pleasurable. So I think there's a certain motivating factor that drives kind of high performing people. And so experiencing the pain of loss is, to me, fine. It doesn't feel great. The key is to not let that move into becoming judgmental, self-critical, self-deprecating. I mean, negative stuff that doesn't allow you to get better. I think the key at some point is you've got to have that shift from the feeling lousy to then looking at what went wrong and trying to have some positive takeaways, or not some takeaways of things that you can correct and feel more optimistic that you have noticed some areas where you were less than great and that you feel more confident moving forward that you'll make those corrections. And then I also think it's important to just take a big picture step back and really view the aggregate performance that you've had, so that you're not, again, that day-to-day volatility, emotional volatility doesn't swing with like the financial volatility in your P&L. So those are some of the kind of recommendations I would have.
Yeah, and that can even apply to traders that are focused so much on the daily performance that you get down on yourself because you have one bad day. Maybe you didn't follow your rules, but when you look back, you've done it for a month, a week. Those are the things. Apply the same concept to that. It's just a building block, one small step at a time. So we got Ryan out on YouTube that's asking. He's been trading for Sim for 3 months and went live for his first month this month. And when he went live, his trades, he ends up losing. When he transitions back to Sim, he has no problem and he wins. How does he handle that?
Okay, so the good news is that this is not an uncommon scenario. The bad news, it's not really bad news, is that it doesn't go away magically. Okay, so what I would say is that this is common because it's just like, think about an athlete may play great in practice and gets in the game, and it's like, whoa, this is like, it's the same game I'm playing, whether it's a tennis match or a basketball game, but like, why is it that my performance seems to decline? Well, when you're putting real money at stake, it is different. It's different emotionally, psychologically, financially. So this is why I know Mike and I have talked about this in the past, about one of the things that's really helpful is when you make that transition is to try to maybe go in small size and risk, so that because there's a natural emotional change, psychological change that comes with putting real money at stake. So if you can limit the amount of money at stake, then it may help the transition take place. But the key thing here is to not, not be discouraged, because it is just, you got to work through it. There's no substitute for getting the reps on the trades and feeling some of that early discomfort, and it will pass. You've got to give yourself some time, but you don't want to overextend yourself financially. So now you have the emotional component that is feeling uncomfortable, and now you're putting yourself in a financial hole, which adds a whole nother layer of problems. So the financial, you have greater control over to minimize that, to put less money at risk. Then you just have to deal with some of more of the kind of the roller coaster effects of the emotions and try to manage those over time.
Yeah, great points. I completely agree. When you transition from sim to live, you have to keep your share size to a point that it's almost, you almost are at the point that you don't care what happens to it. And I found it very helpful that if right before you start trading, you just say, hey, I'm going to take 3 trades today. I'm risking $20. That's $60. That's a video game that I go out and I buy. So that's what you're giving up. You're giving up a video game. And it doesn't matter whether you win, you lose. Maybe you make some of that money back. Maybe you don't. But the value that you get from trading live and understanding the process will be worth that $60 that you spend. And the other thing is just realize that whether you're wrong all 3 times, it doesn't change who you are or how you view yourself. So just remain positive and get through it, because it sounds like you have a strategy that works when you're in sim. Now you just got to get through that emotional learning curve.
And Mike, let me add one thing. Listen, you're all members of a really great trading community. This is where communication, sharing, talking, telling stories, hearing how other people deal with it is incredibly comforting. Because I will tell you, there'll be 117 people who will tell you, listen, I went through the same thing. And if you can get people who tell you like how they got through it, and at times it feels like maybe you're not going to get through it, but you do, hearing those kind of war stories, so to speak, can be very helpful. I'm not just saying misery loves company when the company is miserable, but sharing that, not just on a venting point of view, but there's ways of getting through it, hearing what other people have done to get through it, people who are at a different phase than you. This is where a trading community, I think, can be really wonderful and incredibly supportive and helpful.
Yes, excellent. So going to take a real quick pause, Dr. Katz. Just want to highlight our earnings for today that are going to come up after the close. The big one up there is Netflix. They got earnings per share at $1.84 expected, and then revenue of $6.7 billion with a big positive expected growth revenue of 23%. So that one should be interesting. Once the market closes, we'll pull up Netflix up on the screen, and we'll see the price action as it unfolds. So it should be a very interesting time. Other than that, not much on there. Peter, do you see anything that interests you?
No, nothing else that I'm looking at, because I really, Netflix is the only thing I'll be watching.
Yeah, maybe JB Hunt, just because it's a transportation service, kind of see it in flows of goods here and there around the country. But other than that, not much up there for earnings. And then tomorrow morning, I don't believe I forgot to take a look, but we'll look. I'm sure it's more banking stocks that we got. Yeah, nothing super there. Ally Financial. So with that, back to Dr. Katz, and again some excellent advice for our members. And Ann brought up a great point in the chat for everybody out on YouTube. Journaling. You gotta journal your trades. Not only the technical and mechanical aspects, but you gotta really sit down and take a cold hard look at yourself. And I guess that would be a good question for you, Dr. Katz. What is the best way to do self-evaluation on something that you may be blind to?
Well, I think the more details you can write about your trades, both the kind of the strategy, the kind of the actual technical aspects of the trade, the emotions associated with it, the more information that you could kind of write down about the trades, and even if you get screenshots and review them, I think it's just really helpful because, sometimes our memories of what has transpired is not as accurate as we would like it to be. And sometimes actually that could be where you overemphasize some of the negative aspects of how you did something when in fact that may not be so much the case. So I think people need to find their own ways. Some people like to do it real time where they're writing things down. Some people like to just jot some notes. Some people like write things down a little more detailed per trade. I don't think that there's an exact way to do it. I think you may want to try various ways that work for you. And usually you can find something that is helpful. But I would err on the side of initially jotting down more information than less. You can streamline that as you become more experienced. But in the beginning, you would really want to be able to review as much as detail as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know when I first started out, it's hard to believe if you've ever seen my journal, but I had more stuff than I currently have in my journal. And as you mature, you find out what's valuable, what's not, what's taken away from your time, what you use, what you go back on. And if you don't use it, then it's probably worthless information that's just wasting your time. So you just kind of eliminate it out of there. Got a question from Joseph out in YouTube. Good question, actually. He's brand new, just kind of joining us, but he's asking, in paper trading, so the simulator, should he limit his trades like he would in real life, or is it better to try out many different strategies as possible?
Well, I think getting back to kind of what Brian said, there's the reasonableness factor I think you need to go on. If you're only doing one, you're not getting a kind of a range of experience. And if you're doing 10, you're getting overwhelmed. So I think both Brian and I mentioned, again, there's no exact number, but, 4 or so. Basically, you want to have enough variability where you have a sense of things that are going on. So you want to be reasonable in that number in terms of the types of trades that you're looking at one time. So there's a kind of a healthy balance so that you can get some sense of the things that you may have a more natural inclination and come easier, and some maybe more of the areas where it's a little more of a struggle, but you're not overwhelmed by so many trades during the day.
Yeah. I guess my recommendation on this is it really depends on where you're at sim. If you're just beginning sim and just starting, I would recommend you trade everything. Anything that your mind perceives as a good trade, trade it, take a screenshot. Don't care about whether you get it right, whether you get it wrong. Just take a screenshot. And after you gather a good set of trades, 20, 30, 40 sets of trades, you can then group those and go back and look at all your screenshots and say, what did I do well and what did I not do well? What worked, what didn't? And now you can take that group, maybe it's an opening range breakdown, maybe it's an ABCD pattern, maybe it's trading off the VWAP. You can now take that and you can start to focus in on that. But then as you're getting ready to transition to live, and this is just me being the Marine, right? Train how you're going to do it in real life. I would highly encourage you to set 20 trades aside and say, for the next 20 trades in sim before I go live, I'm going to trade it exactly how I would if I was in a real account. So when you make that transition, you got something that you can rate yourself off of. So there's a question from Valentine there. A question on sizing up in order to minimize the micromanaging or overreacting to the natural flow of the market, as we can see here with the SPY on the 5-minute chart just going up and down today. Would you recommend hiding your P&L in order to focus on the process?
That's a good question, and this comes up at all levels of traders. Actually, this past week, there's a prop firm I work at with, and I was working both individually and in a group with like 4 incredibly high-level traders. And what a topic that we have discussed a lot recently. These are highly successful, friendly guys with each other, but highly competitive. And there have been times where they've really been distracted by, looking at their P&L and comparing P&L to other people. I've really explored with them, and they've done this, about turning that off, helping them really focus on their process. It's not that you're immune or that you don't really aware. If you turn off your own P&L, you probably still have a sense of what's going on. But I think it's worth a try to kind of just to help you focus more in on your process as opposed to the outcome. Again, you need to be mindful of where you are so that you don't blow past your, daily, maximum stop limits and things like that. But I think that can be a helpful thing for a lot of people. At some point, some people kind of can train themselves not to be so focused on it. But in the beginning, if it becomes too much of a focus, which tends to be sometimes, well, for different people, it's different things. Sometimes people tend to look more when they're doing well. Sometimes people tend to look more when they're doing poorly. But if it's distracting either way, then you might want to consider turning it off and seeing how that goes for you.
Yeah. So we'll end with this question, as we got earnings that are going to be coming up at 4 o'clock, and we also want to get to our member of the trade. But Bill has a question out on YouTube. It says, real practical question. When he's in a trade and he's really going at it and he gets zeroed in on the chart, sometimes he forgets to breathe. Any suggestions on remembering or reminding yourself that you need to breathe and relax while you're in a trade?
Yeah, well, one of the things, if you find that that's a pattern for yourself, so there's two things I would do. Kind of a little more big picture in your pre-trading day mental routine reminders, going over that. That should be first, one of the things on your list. So you have kind of a real time, a reminder to start the day. And then what you just may want to do is have a visual reminder by putting up like a Post-it or something with, remember to breathe, kind of bold letters underlined in some kind of hot light color, bold color marker on your screen. And I think, what will happen is if you have that reminder there and you end up doing that, you'll see that over time, it'll become more natural. So again, routine pre-trading day mental reminder to discuss that with yourself, and then have a visual reminder perhaps on the screen until it becomes a more habitual kind of event for you.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us, Dr. Katz. It's a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to having you next week.
Okay, fellas, have a good afternoon and be well.
Great. You too, Dr.
Thanks,
Katz.
Dr. Katz.
So we got a
Always
couple
good.
minutes. We'll knock out the member trade of the day right before the close of the market. So it goes out to Lindsay in the chat room on SQ, one of Brian's favorite trades. Took a breakout off of the 9 EMA as it was crossing above the 200 and took partials at daily levels all the way up.
Nice.
Got about a $3 move out of it. So excellent trade, Lindsay. Excellent trade.
Way to stick with it. Yeah, way to stick with it too to get that next leg up.
The other thing that will be going on is tomorrow we'll be announcing the winner of the trade of the week. So please join us for that. It'll probably be about 5 minutes out there on YouTube. We'll try to do it right around 12:30 so that you can be prepared and be ready for it. So we'll be there. And for everybody else, I'm losing a screen here. One sec.
I thought Peter's AMD trade would be a trade of the week.
Yes, he had a great one.
He's been crushing that AMD.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, AMD was not my particular friend today. I mean, I had a green trade on it, but I had more fun with AMD and Thor this afternoon.
Okay.
I didn't trade it, but we were playing.
So let's get Netflix up here on the screen, so we could see what they're going to do after hours. We'll cover the announcements after we watch a little bit of Netflix, see what's going on with them, if anything comes up.
We're going to watch Netflix?
Yeah, so
Well,
Netflix
21.
reports at 4 p.m.
Come on, get back below 21. You sucker.
Oh, are you in
Are you talking about?
space?
Are you talking about space?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out. I ran out of time. It wouldn't go. It got to 2101 and then it just sat there. Oh,
Just sat there. Wouldn't break it for you. So we got Netflix up on the screen for everybody. As you can see over on the right, we also got everything else that's reporting. So we'll see what's going on there. We'll pull up
Netflix
JB
hasn't
Hunt
moved
down
much
here.
yet. It's
So
it's kind
there
of
goes
there it
Netflix.
goes.
all
Damn.
right. Well, you know what? There's nothing
Whoa.
to say. It won't rip back.
Yeah.
Whoa. Look out below.
So
And
where did
this is
they?
why you
Explode.
don't trade earnings, right, Brian?
This is it. That's it exactly.
What the?
So
Did they fail to make $1? What's going on here?
I knew it would be interesting today. Netflix is always entertainment.
$50 so far.
Have they posted?
$50 move.
So they
Oh,
have
I don't
not
even see.
posted what they've earned yet, what the earnings are on it.
It's not that we can see. Holy crap.
So there's some
That one candle,
computers
that's a
doing some trading right now.
yeah. That is almost a $50 candle. It's a $48 candle at right at 4 o'clock there. Oh,
So for
down
anybody out on
$60.
YouTube, so this is the Benzinga Squawk. I'm trying not to cover up. We can cover up SPY there for a sec. So this is the news feed that we get. We're just looking to see if Netflix has posted their earnings yet. And as of right now, we haven't seen anything on Netflix. So if you end up ever trying us out or joining us in our chat room, you have access to this as well as Benzinga Squawk that's also out there. There we go. Netflix earnings per share misses and sale, but beats on sales. Up 27.3%.
Memberships. Huh.
It's funny.
Obviously.
Amazon's dropping too, in sympathy. It's a sympathy trade.
Amazon, let's pull up AMZN. Might as well watch Amazon move $100 at a tick.
That's insanity.
It's funny. Zoom is dropping too.
So
That's kind of weird.
Zoom. I know John was looking at Zoom for a while. Yeah, Zoom taking a dive as well. Looks like that 450 mark is holding up on Netflix.
Yeah, Tesla's dropping too. It's funny. It's funny how all these high flyers.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
no.
Microsoft and Apple are also dropping after hours here, so I don't know. It's the whole market seems to. Is Netflix bringing down the whole market? That seems a little much.
Yeah, it's
Is
just
there
an
something else?
overreaction. Probably an
Something else going
overreaction.
on?
Well, AstraZeneca is going up. Yeah, Amazon just dropped.
So it looks like
One star.
Netflix is putting out some positive guidance for Q3, though. Looks like.
Oh, they just didn't. They announced a co-CEO. That never works. What? Anyways.
Co-CEO, two bosses.
I've worked in 2 different companies that had tried the co-CEO model. It didn't work. Never works. Egos are too big at that level to work nice in
Oh,
the
yeah.
sandbox with.
I could just imagine having 2 commanding officers. Yeah, never works.
Yeah.
even when you do
Never
changeover
worked.
and there's two of them in the same building for a week, it's terrible.
Yeah, I know. That's why you don't put like the five. I'm sure the 5 stars. You keep them at opposite ends of the planet. You don't put them in like put them in a box together. I mean that's just that's crazy. The elitist
It's
is 15
crazy.
percent.
I that's the first time I've ever heard a co-CEO.
No, we did it. We did it at Nortel, and then we tried it at CSC, and it didn't work either time. So it's yeah, it's never a good idea. It always sounds good, and everybody's always going to say, "Of course, yeah, we can work together. We'll make it work." No,
And
inevitably you don't.
it never does.
It never does, and the worst is that it's pandemonium because they may actually work well together. What happens at the next level down? Inevitably, they'll give conflicting commands, right?
Yeah.
And then it's the next level that really gets screwed because they're like, well, now what the hell do I do, right? I got two bosses telling me slightly different things, and you can't go back to check because that's just not what you do, especially if you're an executive who's supposed to know what to do. Like it's just a catch-22. It's unfair to everybody.
Very different. Very different. So Netflix seems to have held that 450. Now it's kind of pulling back up. So, anybody crazy enough to trade that in the chat room or out there in YouTube?
No,
So
I'm not.
JBHT reported they're up quite a bit here in the after
JBHT.
hours.
JBHT. There we go. That was the other one that I was taking a look at. Let's see. Theirs has not populated yet, but I'm sure it will here shortly.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you knew it was
is-
going to move a lot. I think it was about 6% move baked in. Looks like we've got about 10 right now.
Looks like it'll be a possible short selling restriction stock tomorrow.
Possibly.
On Netflix.
Possibly.
We'll see what it kind of does here on the end. JBHT, so they came out, they beat earnings and they beat sales. JB Hunt Transport did. So some positive news there. I'll definitely be taking a look at them tomorrow. Put them on my list. Take a look
like
at
an
it.
SINT right now.
Could you say that again, Brian? I didn't catch that one.
Said I'm like an SINT right now. It's kind of popping up here.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So. And then for
SPY futures are obviously heading lower a little bit here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Netflix kind of doing that pullback to the 9.
So Netflix is kind of holding on here, isn't it? It's not really. It kind of looks like it's found a comfort level.
So Art, is that a live trade or is that a sim trade? Because that's nice on catching the movement. You definitely you're definitely set, that's for sure. That's got more guts than I do. So for everybody out on YouTube, real quick announcement for you. If it'll come up, yep, there we go. So if you're interested in trying this out, you can use the code premarket24. This gives you access to onboarding. I highly encourage you to wait until this weekend to sign up for it because it gives you 7 days. That way you can attend the onboarding class followed by a whole week there with us. And then if you do decide to join, there's 40% off lifetime membership code. It is Rockies 40. So if you'd like to join us, that is good for the one-time membership. So with that, let's get back to the earnings, seeing about what's going on.
Netflix seems to have stabilized here. I don't know that it's
not going to
might
be
not
doing
make
much.
a lot more. Yeah, it might not. You never know. I mean, it can move. For some reason, around 7 p.m., I've noticed. So about 3 hours from now, things seem to sometimes move. But I don't know. It's
when things start to, we get close to the close of the after hours session, you think?
right. It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, would have been a good short, Art.
But you never know with the earnings. It's a crapshoot.
Nice.
It's
So
really
Art, that was a live trade. Nice job. Got more guts than I do.
what? Wait, what? Where
Did you
was the entry on this trade?
You see your picture?
Let's see. It's from Snacker Jack.
Oh no, Art's got one
Snacker
up there.
Jacker. Art. Wow.
keep on rocking,
475.
baby. Is that going to be
Art,
trade?
look at you.
Look
Is
like
that another trade of the day? Do we have to do an addendum?
I know. I might have to do an addendum on that one.
Art, and you did it live. I am proud of you. Look at that.
I know.
I know, because I know you've been working on taking trades, and look at that. You jumped right in there. That's I didn't have the guts to do that. I'll admit it. So wow.
Either
Well
did
done.
I. Either did I. That is beyond my capability for sure.
T-Bone, oh, thank you for that. Okay, so that's why the 7 p.m. is that. Okay, they have their call at 6. Right. Okay.
So.
Wow.
All right. So with that, it doesn't look like much more is coming out. Are you seeing anything, Brian?
Our RMBL has really taken off here.
Rumble.
Yeah,
It's time to rumble.
Yeah, it could be in play tomorrow. But it's a really low float stock. Could be interesting.
It traded less than 200,000 shares today. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But now it's taken off here.
It's gonna.
It's still the volume is still really low. Yeah. But like I said, it's only 2 million share float, so it's gonna be pushed around pretty easily. I'm sure there's a lot of Rumble shareholders that don't even know their stock's up 50%.
Yeah, definitely. They'll wake up tomorrow morning and be like, "Oh, sell."
Yeah, this is really getting pushed beyond bizarreness. I tried to get in at 1380.
No
Oh,
more
yeah, you didn't get filled?
No, didn't get a fill.
Huh, interesting.
It was bouncing around the 14 level, and I was late to put my entry in. It did trade there, but just didn't get a fill. I didn't want to chase it either because the spread on it was really not great. Because right now, the spread's not bad now.
No,
But
it's
right now,
going
it's
between
50 cents. Yeah, there
yeah,
goes
50, 60 cents.
Now it's 97 cents. Yeah, it's all over the place. Look at it go. Jesus Christ. Oh, well. All right. Well, that's it, everybody. I'm out of here. We'll see everyone in the morning. Peter, Michael, good
All
to see
right.
you guys
Later.
again.
Take care, Brian.
Later,
See
Brian.
you tomorrow morning. Should be a fun Friday.
Should be fun. Andrew's climbing a Cinnabon, so
Yeah, so we'll have
We'll see.
Thor, I believe, on there with you.
okay. So Thor's going to join me in the open, and yeah, we'll see you
I
tomorrow morning.
I do expect you to be eating a Cinnabon in respect of that.
Well, maybe I will go out and eat a Cinnabon right now.
You go get one, and I want to see you on the camera eating a Cinnabon when we get into the the open tomorrow.
Yeah, we can tweet that to Andrew.
There you
All
go,
right.
exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, go
All
ahead.
right, have a good
Sorry,
night.
Brian. Have a good night, Brian.
Yep. You too.
Netflix
Cheers,
still
guys.
got some shares going through it. So I'll be looking for that one tomorrow. See, I might possibly trade that one. It dropped below the $500 threshold. I upped my threshold, Peter, from the $100
Oh, yeah?
mark to now $500. Big jump, 5 times. So I just found like John talks about, the 100 to 400 make really nice breaks of the high of day that you can get really good partials out of. So, except today. Today you got good breaks, a good partial, and then stopped out, and then the market laughed at me all day as it ran higher. Happened on happened on MS with me, and it happened on here. Let me. I think I can pull it up on here, right? Yeah. Happened with MS on me. I had waited 40 minutes for this trade too. 40 minutes. So it hit my scanner here at 10:02, and it just kind of ticked up, ticked up, ticked up. Had the pre-market high level as well as the high. Got in, got a couple good partials, stopped me out, and then it's like, watch me now. Now I'll start running on you. I didn't hear you, Peter.
Nice. Oh, I was just saying goodnight to some of the people leaving, Jem and Cliff.
Yeah. And then Facebook did it to me too. Facebook was my other one that did it to me.
I don't know. That's territory, I guess.
Yeah, it comes with the territory. Yours that where was Facebook? I know it was up here somewhere. I know I took that trade somewhere. John had it. Was it Facebook? Yeah, it was Facebook. Here. Now I'm scared. Oh, there it is. Same thing happened. Can't find my trade. It's the time difference. Yep. Got in, pop, back down to break even. Just, yeah, happens. So, who knows? So, but to everybody out on YouTube, thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank